today I'm going to show you a model car from the year 1982. The team? Williams. Driver? That's right, Keke Rosberg. He won his first and only championship in 1982. Funny about that championship year is actually Rosberg was the second driver after Mike Hawthorne in 1958 to do it, with only having one race win to his name. In that year, of course. But this car didn't actually race at the beginning of 1982. It was actually introduced at the 𝘧𝘢𝘵 Grand Prix, which I believe was the 5th race of that season. But before we begin, this model car is actually sent out to me by GPworld.nl. So GPworld is actually one of the biggest stores in the Netherlands, and if you're a Dutch viewer, I highly suggest you check them out. Why the biggest, you may ask? Because they have a huge selection of model cars available from stock. I will put a link down in the description to this store and a direct link to this model car as well. And I highly suggest you do, because GPworld has actually one of the largest stock of GP replicas available. So there's so many GP replicas cars to choose from. The browsing experience is actually very, very nice. Let's say I just want to look up Ferrari cars. I can just select teams and select Ferrari, and I get to see every Ferrari cars, of course. But that's also the case with drivers. I'm a huge Ayrton Senna fan, so if I went to drivers and I select Ayrton Senna, I can see everything that has to do anything with Ayrton Senna right away. I'll make sure to put the link down to GP World and this exact model car in the description down below, so make sure you check them out. Alright, let's get into the box right away, shall we? Above, basically a blacked out box, but at the right down corner we have a GP Replicas logo in this beautiful metallic silver. On this side we basically have a little sticker that tells us what model it is basically. And underneath we have GP Replicas logo, scale 1/18 with a little bit of legalese and all that stuff. That's basically it for the box. GP Replica boxes are pretty straightforward, so that's always nice to see. So we can get into this model car a lot quicker. There we have the FW08 driven by Keke Rosberg from the Swiss GP. Funny thing is, although it was called the Swiss GP, it was never held in Switzerland. It was held in France, because there's a ban of motorsport in Switzerland. It's almost like Christmas, isn't it? Actually, a color combination in Formula 1 that almost hasn't been used at all. The only teams I can remember having a white and green livery is Jaguar. Like always, it comes in this very high quality acrylic case. Let's put this very softly on the ground. This car was one of the aerodynamic masterpieces of Formula 1 back in the day. So how did this car generate all that downforce? Well, it wasn't because of the front wing. It was actually because of Venturi tunnels underneath the car. That method generated so much downforce that in the qualification, this car often didn't even run with a front wing to have better penetration through the air. Let's do what we always do and work from the front wing to the back, shall we? So indeed, it is a very interesting, very simple front wing this is. So let's look at this nose, shall we? Really wide, bulky nose. All the way to the top we have number 6. Above that we have tag, Saudia, and above that we have Epilogue. What's very nice to see is that this suspension is actually looking rather modern, to be honest. We have these very thin bars. It's not carbon fiber yet. And what is very nice to see is that at the side of the nose, we can see that metal sheet. The underfloor of this car wasn't carbon fiber at all. It's pretty much this, I believe it was called honeycomb metal structure or something like that. So the tires are actually looking really nice as well. Rims looking really stellar as well. We have a beautiful chrome and gold combination we have going on there. Looking really nice. It shines as well, beautiful. Alright, let's take a closer look at this carpet, shall we? I really like this green windshield. It fits with the car perfectly. And wow, this carpet section is something else. You were surrounded by metal sheets basically back in the day. Green steering wheel, green sitting area as well. We have very nice separate seat belts as well, and those are actually red. We have a gear shifter on the right side. You can even see the gauges of how hot the engine would be. Obviously your speedometer, and all kind of different buttons as well. At the headrest we have the name of Keke Rosberg. And above that we have the Union Jack. With next to that is actually, if I'm correct, the Saudi Arabian flag. And at the side of the cockpit we have tag, obviously, and if I can do that in my best French, that would be Technique d'Avant-Garde. Side pod inlets looking really nice. And what's actually interesting, from the front view, the right side inlet of the side pod is actually much wider than the left side. And that actually shows on the top as well, because the gap on the now left side is much bigger than the right side actually. But that is for sure a really interesting look. And we can also see a little bit of exposed radiator down there as well. If we take a look at the profile of this side pod from the side, We can see that this sidepod actually has a little bit of a wing that actually extends into this kind of shark fin type of idea. We don't really have a lot of sponsors. We have 𝘬𝘕, which is, I believe 𝘬𝘕 was actually a Dutch manufacturer of suspension. Next to that we have 𝘬𝘪𝘤, and next to that we have 𝘧𝘢𝘵𝘠. Engine cover looking really amazing as well. At the side of the engine cover you have two logos. We have mobile and we have petrol oil. At the top looking really nice, we have access to what I believe is just a fuel cap, and underneath there we have some mesh, and underneath that mesh would actually be the Cosworth DFV engine, which was something 4-valve engine, I believe it was. Rear wheels looking really nice and chunky as well. I don't think the width has changed with the 77 Ferrari car we reviewed the other day. Once again we have this beautiful can of chromed alloy we have going on there, with this rim actually pretty deep in there. The back is actually looking really interesting. We see all the little different type of hoses, see some suspension bits. Amazing how it was exposed back in the day, right? So yeah, really nice. Actually leads up to this metal structure of this beautiful rear wing as well. Very much reminds me of the rear wing that the 312 T2 or the Ferrari car from GP Replicas also had, but it is significantly smaller in width, I have to say. On the what would become the DRS flap we have Fly 𝘬𝘐𝘵, and underneath there we have a carbon fiber structure. Wing end plate is looking nice as well. You can see those rivets going on there as well, looking really nice. And again, the logo of 𝘬𝘐𝘵. There's actually a slit or a gap in there as well. So those two are actually separate pieces. That's attention to detail, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, it's a very interesting looking car. So like I said before, this car was pretty dominant because of their generated downforce with the Venturi tunnels underneath. A year later, 1983, that whole downforce ground effect area was all banned. So in 83, every car had to have a flat bottom and there was no use of ground effect. But yeah, but that's not all, because obviously with GP Replicas cars, it comes on a beautiful base plate as well. And that base plate is no slouch, because you get this beautiful leather base plate underneath, beautiful suede as well. I believe the GP Replicas Ferrari also had this, but this plaque is actually embossed as well. You can feel the letters, that's really nice. Anyway, this plaque has a nice silver edge to it, and that plaque basically reads FW08 1982 number 6 Keke Rosberg, winner Swiss GP 1982, limited edition of 500 pieces. And at the right hand side we have GP Replicas, of course. And now we have it, the beautiful FW08. For sure, a very interesting car. And what made this car actually pretty significant is that Keke Rosberg won his championship in this exact car. Let's get this beautiful lid back on. You heard the name Keke Rosberg throughout this video. Keke Rosberg is actually the father of Nico Rosberg. You know, the driver who beat Lewis Hamilton in Equal Machinery in 2016. That guy, yeah, exactly. If you're just as interested in historic Formula 1 model cars as I am, I highly suggest you check out this model car too. And if you want to get this model car, I highly suggest you do that at GPworld.nl. Like I said before, I'll put a link down in the description. If you like this video, maybe consider like and subscribing to the channel. Like I said before, I have a lot more on the planning as well. Some historic cars, some very recent 2022 cars as well coming on the way. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you in the next video as well.